So it's almost midnight and Wuthering Waves just launched. I'm about to head to sleep, but I was looking at my video. Gacha games are still actively playing. Genuinely recommend in 2024. It's here sitting at almost 4,000 likes, 150,000 views, over almost 1,100 comments. There are people that are asking me, Stix, okay, you know, it's great, we know what games you're playing, but what games are you looking forward to? So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not tired enough to actually sleep yet, so instead what I do is I just lie back, document 9, 10 different games that I'm looking forward to, and just briefly discuss why I'm looking forward to. I have all 10 games listed on my phone. I wrote down which games I'm most anticipating while on the toilet. That's where I do my best work. We'll start with Duet Night Abyss, because the devs actually reached out to me and they asked if I would be interested later this year in doing a sponsored dedicated video for it. And I thought, you know what, I'm actually really excited for this game, so sure, why not? Duet Night Abyss is a beautiful anime RPG. It's unconfirmed right now if it's going to be completely open world or not, like Genshin or Wuthering Waves. It does look as though it has action combat. We did see that butterfly girl flying around utilizing what seemed like a third-person shooter combat style, so kind of like Snowbreak a little bit. The game is genuinely beautiful. It really is. One of the most beautiful upcoming gacha games, I think, on the horizon. Now, I will be able to, in the coming months, get in, test the game out, fully document what the game is like, because at present we have very little information. We know very little about it, other than the fact that it has incredibly hot waifus and what seems to be really good action combat. I'm excited. This is probably like my top 3 most anticipated gacha games. Unending Dawn is next. Unending Dawn is another upcoming action game. It doesn't look as good. Like, the character models don't look as good. This game kind of seems like it resembles, I think, probably Elden Ring more than any other game, which is really good because I feel like we don't really have any, you know, like hardcore, really difficult gacha games out there. Like, we have Genshin. We have Wuthering Waves, which is a more like action combat focused gacha game. And then we have like nothing else really in the open world genre. So having a game like Elden Ring with the difficulty of Elden Ring, or an Elden Ring inspired gacha game, has the potential to be really cool. Now, from what we have seen, because again, like, this is an upcoming game. I don't know if this is coming in 2024 or not, or if there'll be a beta test in 2024. We've only seen one single trailer. The trailer was, I think, like 6 or 8 minutes long. It was really good. It did look very dark. It did look very grim. It did really intrigue me, partially because the boss monster you fought, the lady, had like really, you know, emphasized assets, and you know, I'm a big fan of plot in my games. The combat looked really good. The character models were questionable. I think they looked pretty good. I don't think they looked of the caliber of Duet Night Abyss or Arknights Enfield or Wuthering Waves. Before we discuss anything further, I want to take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are phenomenal, and I truly cannot thank you all enough for the support. And speaking of Wuthering Waves is probably my #1 most anticipated gacha game. I have a good working relationship with Kudo. The team reached out to me for the PC version of Punishing Grey Raven. They sponsored like 3 different Punishing Grey Raven videos. I love them to death for that. They were like the easiest studio to work with. They're like, hey Stix, we trust that you'll do our game justice, so you have no talking points, nothing at all. Just play the PC client. Let your viewers know what you think, and if you think it's shit, then no problem. Just let them know why you think it's shit. And so I did a video and I was like, you know what, it actually turned out pretty good. So I love Kudo for that. They've granted me access to the closed beta for Wuthering Waves, the previous one, this one, and I'm sure in the future they'll sponsor Wuthering Waves videos as well. Very friendly, very easy to work with. One of the best studios that I have ever worked with on either of my channels. The game itself, beautiful, open world, best combat in the genre, fantastic character models. The story was severely lacking. The world did feel a little empty, but they have supposedly overhauled a lot of that in the most recent test phase. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. We'll be streaming that the entire beta test, by the way, like today, tomorrow, the next couple weeks, on and off. Again, this is probably my most anticipated gacha game, partially because it's just really high quality. I don't think any other game is really necessarily going to compare. Wang is a very interesting gacha because it's supposedly open world, and it has what is arguably the most unique like mount flying, I guess, terrain traversal system in a gacha game. Like Breath of the Wild kind of introduced the whole like scaling mountains and interacting with terrain feature into the not necessarily the gacha genre, but like into the mainstream. And then Genshin kind of took that and implemented it into gacha games. So I think Wang is like essentially what they've done is they've allowed for you to construct your own vehicle out of any material in the world and construct it in a way that is unique to you. So you can build like a helicopter with like, I don't know, rockets that propel you 5 times speed with dangling ladders and like wacky inflatable tube guys dangling off each wing. You can have, I don't know, 6 turrets positioned across the top. You can have it covered in spikes. Like, you can literally do every and anything you want. I think that is a very interesting, very unique selling point. Now, they did state that they're going to be employing, I believe, and I don't know if they've changed this, but an AI-generated questing system. So I feel like that could make or break the game for me, because I don't really like AI generated anything in my game. So, I mean, I guess we'll find out how good or bad that ultimately ends up being. I'm very excited for it, though, purely because I want to make like the most absurd vehicle imaginable. Black Beacon is, I don't know if you guys have played Lost Ark, but Black Beacon is kind of like Lost Ark. From what I can tell, it seems to be a top-down isometric perspective RPG, so it's not like third person, it's not over the shoulder, it's not first person. You're looking down from like, you know, a 90-degree angle. And I'm not typically fond of those kinds of games, but in this instance, it looks really good. Again, like all of these games, almost all of these games have absolutely, like, literally no information currently for them. And that's because they are a little ways off releasing. But from what we've seen of the trailer, the action combat looks pretty good. The character models look pretty good. The world itself does not look open. I very highly doubt it's going to be an open world game. I'm not sure what kind of game it's going to be. It looks like there are going to be instanced areas, but I mean, I don't know if it's just going to be like you deploy yourself on missions from an overworld like in Ether Gazer or Punishing Graven, or if there's going to be more to it than that. Either way, it does look very cool, very interesting, and something that I don't really think we necessarily have, or at least have much of, on the market right now. Project Crescent, I think this game is probably one that we know the least about. We saw a trailer for it, and it just showed pretty much a bunch of really hot or really cute anime girls, and, you know, like, they were all really emphasized in the right areas and in the right ways. Now, they were very beautiful characters. The world is bright, the world is vibrant, and I think the game utilizes turn-based combat. That's what I believe. It hasn't been confirmed whether it's action or turn-based. We don't really know much about it, other than like that one single trailer we received, which had no UI. But, you know, in spite of that, I'm really excited because it's just such a beautiful looking game. Abyss Knights, interestingly, is much like Black Beacon. It's a top-down isometric perspective action RPG. And I think, like, I want to talk more about, wait, what is it? Abyss Knights, I'm sorry. It's past midnight here. I'm like at game number 8 now. I want to talk more about Abyss Knights, but at the same time, I don't really have anything else to say that wasn't already said about Black Beacon. They're literally the same kind of game. Top-down isometric perspective, if I recall. Maybe I'm too tired to be doing a video, but I kind of want to because I'm bored. The Abyss Knights, if I recall from watching the trailer, because there is only one single trailer of it so far, it was a top-down isometric action game. Pretty good graphics. It did show some cutscenes, and in the cutscenes we saw some very beautiful character models. But outside of that, we know nothing about the game. I think, though, we actually have more gameplay for Abyss Knights than we did for Black Beacon, than we do for Project Crescent. So, I mean, you know, there's that. At least we know a little bit more of what the game looks like, which is good. Then we have Arknights Enfield. I mean, do we really even need to talk about Arknights Enfield? Arknights Enfield, much like Wuthering Waves, is a beautiful open world anime RPG. Features a hybrid action combat system that looks really good. It has beautiful character models. The world is beautiful. Interesting terrain traversal and interaction system. A very interesting, like, production system present that produces items, resources. Unfortunately, I did not get to participate in the beta test. I do have a working relationship with Griffline or Hypergriff or whatever they're going by now. I forgot. I've done sponsored Arknights content in the past. They want to sponsor a dedicated Arknights Enfield video when the game launches, so I do appreciate that. They've also given me X Astris, which I will also be covering because I'm very excited for that. But X Astris is not a gacha game, but it does launch like February, I don't know, 29th, I think, and I'll be streaming that. Very much looking forward to that. Arknights Enfield, probably the second most anticipated gacha game for me personally. I don't think I'm as excited as I am for Wuthering Waves, even though technically I like Arknights more than I like Punishing Grey Raven. So it's interesting that Wuthering Waves is more anticipated for me than Arknights Enfield is. Then we have AFK Journey, which I know is kind of out of left field. You're probably thinking to yourself, Stix, why are you listing AFK Journey? I did a sponsored video for AFK Journey recently, and let me tell you, that game is so good. Like, for an AFK game, for an idle game, that game blew my mind. It has a surprisingly good story. It has an enormous world. It has so much, literally so much to do in it. I don't even know why it's called AFK Journey. I don't know why there's an AFK prefix attached to it, because there should be nothing prefixed to it. There should be nothing prefacing the journey, because there's no AFK really whatsoever, other than the fact that you can continue to earn and obtain resources while offline, which I really, honestly, like, if I really am being honest here, I think more gacha games should allow for. Like, I think Punishing Grey Raven should continue farming resources for me while I'm offline. I think that about Arknights, Path to Nowhere, Ether Gazer, 100%, yeah. But AFK Journey was just, it had a fully Englished up, a surprisingly detailed story, a really fun world to explore and interact with, an interesting combat system. There are a lot of mechanics that are present in combat. Like, there's just so much to this game that I genuinely had almost nothing negative to say about it. So I am really, really strongly anticipating playing that. There are 2 other games here that I'm also looking forward to that I'm not necessarily going to talk about. I'm not necessarily going to include, or at least to the same extent as the others, because I'm not as excited for them like I was. The 2 games in question, Zenless Zone Zero and 7 Deadly Sins Origin. Zenless Zone Zero was very disappointing in the beta test that I played, and I think it's releasing this year. Now, I'm still excited for it, but, like, it's not a game that I would, prioritize playing. I wouldn't play it over something like Wuthering Waves if they released at roughly the same time. I wouldn't prioritize playing it over Nikke, because I really do enjoy Nikke a lot. I'm sure you understand why. I was so disappointed. I know a lot of people were disappointed by the beta test, and that was largely, I think, due to the fact that, like, so much of the gameplay was just based around that whole, like, TV system thing, and it was really boring. The 7 Deadly Sins Origin is like Genshin, but with the 7 Deadly Sins characters. And, like, the trailers for it made it look so good, but it's done by Netmarble, and Netmarble, they're notoriously known for a reason. They ruined Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds. They've ruined numerous games. They're in the process of ruining numerous intellectual properties. So I don't have the highest of expectations for this game, but it's still a beautiful game with what seems to be a very fun action combat system and a great setting, because it's set in the world of the 7 Deadly Sins, and I love the anime of that. Now, those are all of the games, with the exception of the latter 2, that I am really excited to play this year. And there's going to be at least a test phase for pretty much the overwhelming majority of them this year. And for those that don't, they will be available in at least some form next year. That isn't every gacha game that I am eagerly anticipated for. I am excited for quite a few gacha games. Every new gacha game that gets announced, I do a dedicated video on, because I'm excited for them. I love playing new games. I love the fact that I get to sit here every single day and either record drama that's happening, or my reactions to trailers, or new games that I get to play. Like, my job is literally the best job in the world. Yeah, sometimes I play really boring games. Devil May Cry Peak of Combat, as an example. But, on the contrary, I also play a lot of really good games, and I get paid to do it. So, I love my job. I'm excited for almost every gacha game that is coming out, and I guess I'll continue covering them because, number one, it's my job, and number two, I kind of really enjoy doing it. Now, if none of these games are of any interest to you though, absolutely no problem. I got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now that might be more up your alley.